Time does not stop, and neither do the construction projects going on all over Disneyland Paris. Both Disneyland Park and Walt Disney Studios have several projects underway. From a major Big Thunder Mountain refurbishment, Casey's Corner Terrace, and several others, to the complete transformation of Studio One and Production Courtyard into World Premiere and World Premiere Plaza. Plus, the expansion we've all been waiting for, that when it opens will earn the park a new name. How could we forget Disney Village, which is also undergoing a massive makeover that will completely change its entire atmosphere and offerings? Well, with this in mind, it's now been over 3 months since our last construction update, and a lot has happened. So, I went around the resort to gather all kinds of videos and photos for yet another construction update video, the first of 2025. So, without further ado, let's get going.
Oh boy!
Let's start in the Disneyland Park. Right as you pass through the gates, construction walls can be spotted on Main Street, USA. The first of these are to the right, as Boardwalk Candy Palace continues its month-long refurbishment. Most of the works are being done backstage and inside, as they expand the storage for the store. However, some small changes are being done to the facades with small fixes, different paint, and the creation of a counter for people with reduced mobility, something we've seen happen all around the park. As you move down Main Street, USA, Casey's Corner and the works happening in front of it come into view. Since our last update, part of this project has been unveiled and opened with a new meet and greet gazebo just by the entrance to Liberty Arcade. This sheltered location looks very nice and completely in theme with the rest of the land. It has a large queue for people eager to meet characters such as Stitch. All the walls that blocked this area all the way to the entrance of Frontierland have been removed too. When it comes to the Casey's Corner Terrace, in October it looked like this. They were installing the metal structure and its metal roof. Now, in order to complete all the works, including the theming and painting, everything was enclosed under a fortress of scrims. Some months ago, Disney announced that this wouldn't open until spring of this year, justifying the long construction time with the fact works can only happen during the night as to not disturb guests. On the other side of Central Plaza, we see, yet again, construction walls that shall stay there until sometime this summer. The castle stage is undergoing a very large refurbishment that saw the unearthing of 32-year-old concrete and structures. The creation of a larger backstage area under and behind the stage itself is taking place. Since October, we see the new back walls made of brick plus metal supports. The floor of the stage is being completely changed as well. All I hope is that after this work, a daily show can call this incredibly well-located stage home. Behind the castle in Fantasyland, works are happening on the facade of the restaurant Chalet de Marionette, similarly to many other buildings in the land. A themed tarp has been put up to hide the construction, as everything is getting a needed refurbishment. Over on Discoveryland, Space Mountain continues with a large portion of its back under themed tarps too. The facade and dome are getting a refurbishment, and a brand new light package is being installed as we speak. In fact, last week the dome's lighting was turned off as this installation takes place, and we can see that some of the sphere lights along the top crown have been removed. The lighting of this iconic and soon-to-be 30 years old attraction has been in very rough shape, as they're quite hard to maintain. Hopefully the new lighting looks as good or even better and is easier to keep working all year round. While it's possible that a several month-long refurbishment is set to happen as early as the second half of this year, nothing has been said regarding it. However, just like I hinted at in the last construction update video, Big Thunder Mountain has started its major refurbishment. Over in Frontierland, construction walls divide the paths all the way from the Frontierland playground to the exit of Big Thunder Mountain. These walls are meant to completely block off access to the queue and area around the coaster's mainland location, as works are set to happen in the main queue building. In fact, we can spot some workers already here. In the island, several construction crews can be seen placing all kinds of equipment such as scaffolding and walkways for workers. Many of the animatronics have been removed as they'll undergo a refurbishment of their own in the workshops of the park. For easy access, floating barges can be seen around the island too, especially near the splashdown area. Others can be seen in the back, connecting the island to mainland for easier transport of everything, from tools to the materials for the works. We can also see that work lights have been put up, indicating that they won't stop during the night. This refurbishment has also seen the closure of the riverboat, which can be seen docked in the dry dock, removing the rotting Mark Twain from its resting place. Works are set to take 6 months, so both the riverboat and Big Thunder Mountain will remain closed until early summer of this year. One can only hope that they'll take this time to clean the island and repaint some of the areas, but only time will tell. Let's now leave the Disneyland Park and head over to Disney Village. Here, about half of the north buildings are now behind construction walls. These include the Lego store, the Disney Style, Disney Glamour, and Deco by Disney stores, and now, to add to the list, the New York Style sandwiches and the sports bar. All these are undergoing a massive transformation from inside out, including brand new facades and a completely different shopping and dining experience. New York Style sandwiches and the sports bar are merging into one with a new sports bar, including the outdoor section. These closed last December and are already underway. The opening of stores closer to Rosalie Brasserie have been delayed, as it became apparent in our last update, but work on its facades are now moving swiftly. You also see the new glass doors and large windows have been installed too, inching closer to the opening state. A good part of the new floors have also been installed in front of them, and the roofs have been completely refurbished and changed. While there aren't actual opening dates, these are set to be ready to open in the next few months. Still on this side of Village, the new security gates from the Hotel New York side are going well, with their foundations now set. Here's how they should look when complete. Very similar and on par with the larger and main security gates from the train station. The new McDonald's restaurant is also moving ahead as work on its foundations take place. The restaurant is set to open sometime next year, as announced in 2023. When it does, the current McDonald's will close down and be demolished to make way for a completely new area of Disney Village. Closer to the parks, a part of the new barriers have been unveiled. These look very good and have some greenery and landscaping separating the Disney and non-Disney areas. However, works haven't ended on this incredibly slow project, but hopefully they do soon enough. Just by here, in a stark contrast to the October update, Planet Hollywood has been completely erased from existence. Nothing is left from this staple restaurant in Village, but some dust and rubble. As announced last year, a new Italian restaurant will call this place home. Casa Giulia will have a smaller footprint compared to Planet Hollywood and is set to open in 2026. When it comes to its construction, the permits just passed and works have already started, as seen in this DLPReport photo from only a couple of days ago. A lot is happening in Disney Village, and things are only getting started in this multi-year transformation, as old stores and restaurants close down to make way for new ones. Well, let's finally make our way to Walt Disney Studios Park. As you pass through the gates, the first set of walls comes into view. The works transforming Studio One into world premiere are still taking place. These began in April of last year. In December, Disney showcased new concept arts and images from inside, where you can see how the work has progressed until a month ago. Outside, we can see some of the fake trees ready to be installed just behind the walls. These that will go down Hollywood Boulevard all the way to the Disney Theater, where guests will go into. On the other side, we see that the new awning that will split the crowds coming into the park, while also acting as a light block for more light control inside World Premiere, is going well. Since October, the structure looks a lot more complete, with 3 large casings for posters advertising the shows in World Premiere Plaza, such as Mickey and the Magician, Together, and Frozen. Speaking of, new street lights have been installed in front of Studio Theater. These that will be found all throughout the land and look very nice. They can also be equipped with Wi-Fi access points, other lights, or speakers. On the other side of World Premiere, walls have shifted once again. Now, Animagique Theater is behind them as works on the pavement, planters, lights, and others happen. It's also very likely that we'll see the addition of the massive Mickey and the Magician poster during these works that will take several weeks. The old Worlds of Pixar stand has been removed, and a new one should appear soon enough in the form of a smaller Studio One. Animation Celebration was behind walls, but some of those works have ended, giving us a look at the incredible job they've done. This area feels completely different, with just the new floors, planters, greenery, trees, and lights. This also adds a lot of space to sit down, something missing from the park. Honestly, this small piece of the puzzle looks very good and fits incredibly well with the land. I cannot wait to see how it'll all be like once all the pieces come together. There are still some trees to be planted here that will further increase the greenery. After a long refurbishment, the Flying Carpets of Aladdin has reopened, and alongside it, new theming elements, pavements recreating the feeling of sand and dunes, planters with palm trees, a new entrance, and new lights. It's still an odd choice to have this right here, but at least it looks a lot nicer now, especially at night. When it comes to the expansion side of the Walt Disney Studios Park, things continue to advance well in preparation for its official opening next year. In Adventure Way, the road leading to Adventure Bay, the lake, a lot of the stone pavements have been put in place and are now covered so that heavy machinery can pass through without damaging it, including the now complete rosette that will act as the welcoming sign to this new side of the park. Many more trees have also been planted in the sides of the paths and in the planters too. We can also see that the themed arches adorned with popcorn lights that will be found from the start of Adventure Way to its middle section have started being installed. There's a few of them already in place and others mid-installation. The gazebo garden has also changed, now with some themed walls in place, new trees, and development on the ground that's starting to take shape. No gazebo in place just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that changes soon. Also here, Imagineering made a post showcasing the installation of a very large tree, a willow oak, one that can reach an impressive 30 meters in height when fully grown. This will be important as it will help hide the very tall Hollywood Tower Hotel and keep that from distracting guests inside the gardens, alongside the other small trees in the berm separating the two. There are more than 1,000 trees either being planted or already in the ground throughout the park, which is something that will completely transform its atmosphere. Going to the other side of Adventure Way, the path and expansion to Toy Story Playland has changed quite a bit since October. The ground has been worked and we can now clearly see the new paths. 2 brand new statues have been installed here as well, with Jessie alongside a Rubik's Cube and playing cards closer to the existing land, and Woody in the new entrance alongside a sign with the Toy Story Playland name. Still missing are the huge Christmas lights. These were installed just in time for this update video. While a concept art from D23 Expo showcased a meet and greet location, that doesn't seem like it's happening here. Groundworks all around the path are now taking place and should start getting new greenery too, similarly to the newly planted bamboo. Walking down the street, we come across Repon's Tangled Spin. The building itself is looking great and nearing completion, and the boats have also started to show up. Unfortunately, the tarps hide what's happening inside, but it looks like they're installing the right vehicles into the turntables themselves. In front of it, the tangled gardens are moving well, with the paths completely formed and the small pond completely waterproof and themed. Now, only some of the decorations, such as the boat with Rapunzel, are missing, and then it could start getting filled. A large new area has received the stone floors near the roundabout at the end of the street, and the large West Pavilion has also changed with new theming such as the aging of its roofs and the metal structure all around it that will give guests protection from the elements. Painting continues, just like works on the control room for the lake shows on top. In front of it, we see the ongoing efforts to theme just about everything, from the brick walls to the lights and other structures. Take a moment to appreciate all the street lights, the larger green posts with show equipment, the awnings, and all the newly planted trees and installed floors. There's a lot going on. On the right, the Regal View restaurant continues its works, mostly under and behind tarps, allowing for the painting and the theming of it all. The roofs appear to be near completion and could soon start getting a similar aging treatment as a pavilion. In front of it, the metal structure for what will be one of 3 merch kiosks has been installed, giving us a look at the size of these, perhaps comparable to the Avengers Campus 1. Closer to Cars Road Trip is the new large toilet block. Its walls have begun receiving theming and paint. The smaller pavilion, 3 food kiosks, and other merch kiosk are all going nicely as well, as most work happens behind tarps, once again to allow for painting and theming. However, a view from further away allows us to better see how it looks like. The rotating bridge is receiving a lot of attention too, as it gets themed alongside the pathways closer to it. And now we finally reach World of Frozen. First of all, the mountain range is looking absolutely stunning. Since October, a lot has changed here. The right side has received a lot of its theming, from the rock work closer to the ground with its more earthy tones and grass, to the faraway snowy mountains. Forced perspective will come in and make them appear much further away and larger than they really are, setting the immersion even higher. The left side of the mountain has seen a lot of change too, now with much of the concrete and rock formation in place, giving us an amazing view of the North Mountain itself. This can be seen from many places in the park, like this great photo from Road Trip that shows it in a different perspective. Close to the ground, the village of Arendelle is looking better than ever, with new houses unveiled and others a lot further into construction. This will house the major restaurant of the land, and some restrooms. The entrance to Frozen Ever After, under the clock tower, and a part of its queue can also be spotted here. The port building has received a lot of its theming, with just a part of its back to go, and behind it, the boat has been put in place. The castle is looking beautiful, but not much has changed since October because it was mostly done back then. The pathways around and in the land have started getting its theming and elements like the streetlights and others. Some changes have been made to the left of Frozen, as the theming of the large awning continues, and to its side, some of the groundworks happen in preparation for a backstage entrance, and a large berm separating Frozen and the future Lion King site, that will also hide the buildings in the back, plus the larger park berm. Speaking of Lion King, dirt has been moving around where the second lake land will be built. We've seen the removal of several trees and the cleaning of the site in preparation for those works that, according to Disney, are set to begin this year. No permit has been filed just yet though. Before ending, let's just take a moment and appreciate the magnitude of the construction project as seen from Panorama Magique. You might have noticed the lake is green. This is a method to test for possible leaks, so don't worry, the water should not remain with that color for much longer. And with that, we come to the end of our resort-wide tour. There's a lot going on, as you just witnessed, and things are only going to get faster as we come closer to an opening date of many of the projects. While the expansion side of Adventure World is only set to open next year, most of the construction will end by this year, and I cannot wait to see how everything looks like. If you can't either, make sure to subscribe. And now, as always, thank you for watching, and that's a wrap.